Thanks, Jaya. And hey, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you are having good time here at Sekurokon'. So, as Jaya said, my topic today is all about API security. I'll discuss more about why API security is so crucial for your business. And on a personal experience, I identified a lot of critical issues in Apple systems. And today I will discuss two security issues. One is authentication bypass, and the other one is access control vulnerabilities. So yeah, this gentleman is me, which you can see on the screen. My name is Vikas Khanna. I am technical specialist at Sekuro. I flew down from Singapore, where I take care of our Southeast Asian clients. And I have mentioned some of the key points about my profile. My key focus is on application security and API security. And when I'm not working on my professional stuff, or you can say over the weekends, I usually try bug bounty hunting. So if you are not aware with what bug bounty hunting is, there are organizations who invite security professionals to identify loopholes in their environment, their applications, their mobile applications, their web applications, and basically everything they are dealing in with. So I got acknowledgements from companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, and many more. I have 3 CVs under my name. CVs are common vulnerabilities and exposure. So let's say there are enterprise products, and if there is something which nobody identified before, the one who will identify it at the first go, they will assign them CV numbers. So I have 1 CV from Oracle and 2 from IBM. And as Jaya said, I showcased my research in conferences like DEF CON, Black Hat, Hack Sydney, OWASP Singapore, and I'm very glad and very happy to share my research here at Sekurokon'. So this particular talk I have divided in different phases. I'll dig into these phases one by one. So it's all about why API security is so crucial for your business. And then I will discuss about some of the most common attacks which usually a malicious attacker used to perform the breaches. And then I will share my findings which I identified in Apple system. And at the last, we will discuss about what sort of lessons we have learned from our experiences. Before digging into why API security is more important, I'll discuss more about what is an API. API is like application programming interface. You can think it as small chunks of code which performs certain functionality. So when you merge different such chunks in a one and you merge it, it becomes an entire application. So internet is full of API calls. Let's take an example of food delivery app. So when you order something from a food delivery app, you can track the driver's location in real time, like where your driver is right now. And for that, companies are using Google Map. So Google Map, if you have to build something like Google Map at your organization or in-house, it will take a lot of resources. It is very costly. I mean, you have to spend a lot of cost, a lot of resources, a lot of manpower and all. But since Google already created Google Map, you can just buy that from Google and you have to pay a small amount and you can use that service. Similar way, you can use payment gateways and all. So it's kind of very useful when it comes to APIs. Hello. Okay. So it is very useful feature. And nowadays, the entire world is kind of running on APIs. APIs are basically everywhere. You name it, you will find API calls. Web application, mobile applications, cloud, IoT, everywhere you can find the API calls. And there are a lot of visionary people who predicted the future. So they basically describe that APIs are the future of internet, and we should be very careful when we are using APIs. Since APIs are very important for your business, but unfortunately, uh, when it comes to security of APIs, organizations are not that educated or well aware that they have to secure their API infra. So there are some reports. Firetail shows that there is 80% increase in API breaches since January 2024. And this number is huge. Akamai shows that there is 108 billion attacks which they have recorded since January 23. The number is disturbing, the number is huge. And the most common issues which attackers are using to get into the organization is authentication bypass and access control. This is something which we will discuss today. This is something which I will showcase you today. In recent years, there were a lot of API-related breaches which happened. And not only small organizations, there are big, giant organizations who got impacted with this. GitHub, Microsoft, Tesla, T-Mobile, I mean, you name it, there are organizations who got affected by API breaches. So there were 37 million users' data which got leaked on dark web. And I mean, in terms of, like, if you discuss about GDPR, there are a lot of penalties and fines. So it's very, very crucial to take care of your APIs. And the good news is, at Sekuro, we have different services which we are providing to our clients to secure their environment and to help them. So please reach out to me, and I will be more than happy to help you after this talk. The common API threats which are happening right now in the entire world are categorized here. So one of the most common is broken user authentication. When it comes to authentication, authentication is a process where basically application or API or any system validates that the user is the legitimate one, and user is the one who they are claiming to be by checking their credentials in terms of username, passwords, digital certificates, and many more. So study says that the number one threat the number one threat for the APIs are broken user authentication. So when someone bypasses the authentication, they can get into the organization to access the data which doesn't belong to them. Similar way, the second most common issue is related to access control. For example, I'm a user of one application. There are tons of other users. If I am able to access the data which doesn't belong to me and which belongs to other user, if I am able to access that falls in that particular category. And the third one is excessive data exposure. Similar way to the second point, let's say I am requesting for the data which belongs to me. And for some misconfigurations, the APIs and applications are throwing me the data of a lot of different users. So how they do it, they usually filter it at client side. Okay, but there are different techniques which we can use as security professionals. And before that client side filtration, we can access the data which belongs to other users. So this is something is very crucial. The other one is a lack of rate limiting. You can think of it as like within a certain time frame, if as an attacker someone is able to send n number of requests and application or APIs are just entertaining them, which means like if there is an OTP request and within 1 minute, let's say if I am able to shoot thousands requests, I will be able to receive thousands OTP. It is affecting in a lot of ways to the organizations. First, their customer base. If I'm, let's say, targeting you, and I will mention your number, I can send thousands OTP to your mobile number in 1 minute. So it is giving very bad user experience. I can even dose the organization. The third thing is there are some services to use that your company is paying some money. If there is no rate limit, I can shoot n number of requests and I can generate bills. And the last one is security misconfiguration. There are a lot of security misconfigurations. For example, cross-origin resource sharing. One origin can access the data from another origin. So it's your browser's responsibility. There is something called SOP, same origin policy. It's your browser's responsibility that one origin shouldn't be able to access the data from the another origin. But let's say if your organizations have multiple applications and they want to share the data with each other. So here we use cross-origin resource sharing. If that is misconfigured, an attacker can, access the data which doesn't belong to them from the different origin. So there are a lot of other misconfigurations which we can use. All right. During my research on Apple system, I identified that there is a subdomain called instapigeon.apple.com. When I tried to access this URL, Apple redirected me to the SSO. Basically, when you go to Apple subdomain, Apple redirects you to their SSO and asks you for your credentials. And if you have valid credentials, Apple basically let you in and let you access the data which belongs to you. So after performing some sort of recon, I got to know that there is one subdirectory called respondent, and there is another directory which is very random. I used Google Doc. I got to know that there is very random subdirectory and there is one application is hosted. That particular application is Apple's product which they are selling to their customers. And their customers are not users like me. These customers are organizations. Okay, so this particular string belongs to each and every user. This is unique in terms of when this string belongs to one user, for other user there will be different string. So I found more than 10 or 15 different subdirectories where this application is hosted, and this belongs to one particular organization. So when I reached out to this particular subdirectory, I got to know that there is a login page. And this login page is basically different from the SSO, which caught my attention. Here I forced myself that, okay, this login functionality is very different from the SSO. Let's try something here. So I found session puzzling attack here. Session puzzling is something when you puzzle the application at pre-login stage, and application provides you some sort of cookie which is valid for even post-authentication modules. So by using that cookie, that session, you can access post-login API calls, post-login modules. Okay, so here I'm trying to show that I am refreshing the page by removing the login page. Application still redirect me to login. I entered some sort of credentials which are incorrect. Basically, I mentioned my name and my email ID. Application showed me that it doesn't belong to the organization or it's incorrect. But for that particular time frame, application created some sort of session to show me that error. And when I removed the login again, application redirected me to the post-login modules. So I tried to download the data which belongs to that organization who is using Apple's product. It will take some seconds, I believe. Yes. Yeah, I was able to download the data. I can perform any action since I'm logged in. So I reported it to Apple, and within a few hours, they responded and they fixed it immediately. So there were a lot of different subdirectories with the random strings, and these strings are belongs to separate organizations. And I was able to get into these organizations' data. I cannot disclose the name of these customers because I took the permission from Apple to share about their bug, but I cannot share the customer's details. Apple paid me 5,000 USD for that bug, which is kind of $7,500 in AUD. The another issue which I identified in Apple was access control bugs. So there is an application called Apple Pay Supplies, and you can order Apple Pay decal kits and signage kits. So when I ordered this, Apple assigned me an order ID to track my order. This order ID is unique and random. I tried to play with it, but it was secure enough, so I wasn't able to break it. But then I tried some test cases. What I did, I removed the entire string and I mentioned numeric values like 1, 2, 3. And since there was no rate limit, which I discussed earlier, there was no rate limit, and I shooted a lot of requests in very short time frame. And I got to know the data which belongs to Apple's user, and I got 500 users data, which contains their name, their address, their telephone number, product details, and order details, data and all. So as you can see, order ID I changed to 499. It showed me the data, which belongs to some user. And I then again changed to 498. It showed me another user's data. So due to lack of rate limiting and access controls, I was able to get a lot of information. Again, I reported it to Apple. They fixed it in a few days only, and they paid 5,000 USD, which is like 7,500 AUD. Okay, so what sort of lessons we have learned so far? That authentication and access controls are very, very crucial for your business. And when it comes to APIs, these two attacks are very, very common. So we have to be very careful with our authentication mechanisms and how we are granting the permissions to different users. Basically, we encourage people to use zero trust model, but if the organization is mature enough, then we observe that people are using it. The other thing is rate limiting. The second issue which I explained, even if let's say there is no rate limit control there, I still would have collected all the information. But since there was no rate limiting, it was quite easier for me to collect that data. Encryption in transit and rest, we have to use that. That's pretty much required. Error handling. Sometimes when we are throwing errors to users, we usually disclose a lot of sensitive information. So it shouldn't be generic. It should be custom. Every time when you are disclosing errors, you have to be very, very careful. And regular audits. Security is not a product. You cannot buy it in one go and that's it. No, it doesn't work like this. Security is a service. You have to have regular audits, and every person who will perform pen testing will come up with a different sort of skill set, different sort of mindset, and we highly encourage you to go for regular audits to secure your organization. Yeah, that's my time today. Thank you so much for listening me. I hope I shared valuable information for you, with you guys. Thank you so much.